guardsmen and women and their families across the Commonwealth is one of the highest priorities of my administration, and it's also one of the highest points of pride for me. Know that while you have our backs, we have yours. And we're committed here in Pennsylvania to doing everything in our power to support you as you serve in the National Guard, as you serve all of us here in Pennsylvania. And I'm proud to be here to announce a program to support our Guard members and their families, the unsung heroes, the families who hold down the fort while our Guards people are away, families who take on many extra roles and offer endless support for their service member, whether you're at home or whether you're deployed. This program, what I'm calling the Pennsylvania GI Bill of Rights, is one more way we can support both service members and their families. The Pennsylvania GI Bill is another name for the Pennsylvania National Guard Military Family Education Program, a program to provide a benefit that National Guard service members can earn to transfer to their spouse or children if the service member requests this for their service. The benefit must be used for the cost of education at a Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency approved educational institution within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania GI Bill benefit will provide assistance for up to 10 semesters or 5 years, equivalent of an in-state Pennsylvania state system of higher education school. That's the tuition rate, the reimbursement rate. This bill will enable the National Guard service members to transfer education benefits or defer the benefit by designating eligible beneficiaries up to the time that they complete their Guard service. The spouses will be eligible to use the educational benefit immediately or within 6 years after the service member separates from the Guard. The current Education Assistance Program, the EAP, supports 2,212 National Guard members in over 161 educational institutions in the Commonwealth. Over 42% of those are within PASHE schools, Pennsylvania System of Higher Education schools. It's our hope that this new program, service members' spouses or children can take advantage of the educational opportunities at a PASHE school or another institution within Pennsylvania to earn a certificate, an associate's degree, or a bachelor's degree, or a graduate degree, all in support of those who support our service members. As far as I know, there's only one other state that even comes close to doing this in the whole country, and that's Minnesota. Minnesota only does a partial support for spouses. If you're a service member, you haven't completely used up the benefit, you can transfer that to your spouse. I think they have up to 6 years. This is for family members as well as spouses, and you can transfer all of it, some of it, at any point up to 6 years after you leave the National Guard. The PA GI Bill will also, again, aside from that slight similarity with Minnesota, is the only one in the United States. We're the first of its kind. And with the PA GI Bill of Rights, Pennsylvania can lead the way in a program that I think we can all agree is going to provide fitting support for our service members and their families. We plan to make Pennsylvania the strongest workforce in the country. That's a big thing for all of us, both sides of the aisle. And we know that our economic future depends on a well-educated and highly trained workforce. This is right in line with that. But helping our service members and their families obtain post-secondary education without the financial burden that usually goes along with that can also go a long way to help military families get the education they need for the good jobs and the fulfilling careers that we need them to have right here in Pennsylvania. The military often states that we recruit soldiers and airmen, but we retain families. The PA GI Bill demonstrates that the Commonwealth is committed to both of those things. So thank you, and it is now my great privilege to turn the podium over to Major General Tony Carrelli.
Thank you, everyone. Governor and the members of the legislature, our leadership from the Veterans Affairs Emergency Preparedness Committee, a lot of the guests that are in our audience, and of course our guardsmen and some of the family members that showed up today. So thank you so much for coming here. You know, in this job, I always say I got the best job in Pennsylvania. No offense, Governor. But I do think I got a better job than you do. You know, look around you, look at the uniforms, look at the equipment. This is what we do, and these guardsmen commit their lives, absolutely commit their lives to this profession. And it doesn't matter whether it's a snowstorm, it's a flood, it's a mobilization, a war halfway across the world. We send our guardsmen where they're needed, and many times in short notice. Don't take it too lightly. I mean, it looks glamorous, it looks professional. You look at everyone and they're smiling. This is not easy. This is a tough life. This is a tough profession that each one of these members chose to stay and continue to do. I am so appreciative for the leadership of the governor and our legislature for sticking a stake in the ground. You know, first in the country, amongst the National Guard, we talk about the 54. It's not just 50 states. There's 3 territories in the District of Columbia as well. Pennsylvania will be the first of the 54 to say our families are just as important as our guardsmen are. You know, and that's what Pennsylvania is doing by rolling out this program. Our families serve right alongside. You know, at every event that I'm at, and I'm talking to soldiers, talking to airmen, you know, I tell our guardsmen constantly, when you get home, thank your families for me. Thank your families for me. They don't get that enough. You know, we have so many programs for our guardsmen. There's so many things that we do. We take our guardsmen, we shake their hands, we pat them on the back, we give them certificates, we give them medals, we give them bonuses. Everything is designed for the guardsmen. Now, Pennsylvania stands up as the only state of the 54 to say, this is for your family. You know, this is a build-up on our existing education program, which we are extremely thankful. It's an extremely successful program. We've been able to bring in between 2,000 and 3,000 guardsmen every year, almost over the last decade, with that recruiting type program. But that was for our members. Okay, this is a re-enlistment tool. This is also a retention tool. It's also a recruiting tool, because other states will see this and they're going to want to say, I want to serve in Pennsylvania. You know, we have almost 20,000 guardsmen across the Commonwealth. Our guardsmen live in every single county in Pennsylvania. And behind every guardsman's face is a family. And there's a family that's alone when the worst weather occurs. 2 feet, 3 feet of snow on the ground. We call at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I need you now. And the guardsman throws on their uniform. They dig themselves out of the driveway. They get to their base of their armory. And their family's not going to see them for 3 or 4 days, because they're out there digging people out on a highway. They're digging people out that are stuck out in a community somewhere. They're pulling people off the rooftops of their house in flooded areas. That's what we do. We're here for the safety and security of our communities, at the sacrifice of our own families. So who's digging our families out? Who's shoveling the snow out of our driveways? Well, 3 days later, when the guardsmen get home, then they have to do that as well. So this is for those families that sacrifice, that get that phone call that you're going to be mobilized for essentially a year, okay, an entire year. No help with homework, with the kids, all the sports, all the birthdays, all the graduation events, some birth of children missed. I mean, there's a lot of missed opportunities. You just look around at all the people around that are in these uniforms, and add up every single one of those missed heartfelt family events. And there's a lot of them. You know, it's an amazing sacrifice that our guardsmen serve, but the families are the ones that really feel that impact. As I said before, it is not easy being in the Pennsylvania National Guard. We have the best and brightest in Pennsylvania. I cannot thank Pennsylvania enough for giving us their best sons and daughters. The quality of people we have, the smartness, the work ethic, the dedication to duty, Commonwealth, and country is just absolutely phenomenal. But these are tough times. As the commitments in the Commonwealth and the country get greater and greater, we have a harder time keeping our guardsmen. And our retention rates have been going down. This program was designed specifically at that, and we said, well, how do we retain more guardsmen? Because this is important. The work that they're doing is extremely important. And like I said, and the governor mentioned in his remarks, you know, we recruit guardsmen we retain families. There's no one, and look around at all the uniforms. None of us would be in the service today, including myself, without the support of our families. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my wife. She's in here in front row. You know, for all the time. Things I mentioned, you know, I miss that and much, much more. And the spouses are left to pick up the pieces. The spouses, sometimes on days' notice and sometimes hours' notice, have to run the household, have to run everything, because we just pick up and leave. Because it's that important to Commonwealth and country to be in these positions. So it's not easy. We look at this program, you know, as a great tool for us. But it's a phenomenal step by Pennsylvania. And again, I thank the governor and our legislature for being the first in the country to lead the country in saying our families are important to us. Okay, and Pennsylvania is number one. Pennsylvania is one of the largest and one of the most deployed. And as the governor mentioned, the natural disasters that we do, we do more out of the state than we do within the state. Because we have a responsibility as such a large force with equipment that you see here and you saw as you drove onto this base. We have equipment, we have responsibilities to the rest of this region, to the rest of the country and the world to use that. So hurricanes in Texas, in Florida, the Carolinas, in Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, you know, flooding, fires, the deployments. It's not just Pennsylvania. We are leaders in this nation. It is tough being in the Pennsylvania National Guard. But our families need to be shown some of that love. This program is a recognition that they serve right alongside us. They sacrifice right along with us. The success and failure of our guardsmen is inherently intertwined with the support of our families. And that's what this program says. So I'm very excited about this. This is a great tool for us. And I, again, appreciate the leadership of the governor and the legislature stepping up and saying, you know, Pennsylvania families are important, and we're going to do this for you. So thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to pass on to the chairman of our